Michael had been on the road since dawn. Hours of empty highways and flickering neon gas stations had worn him down, and by the time he saw the faded sign for the Riverside Hotel, he felt a wave of relief. It stood like a relic from another era, an enormous brick building with cracked windows and ivy crawling up its sides. Inside, the grand lobby smelled of mildew and damp carpet. The once golden chandelier sagged with dust, its crystals dull and lifeless. A desk bell sat on the counter, green with rust. The clerk behind the counter hardly looked up, his pale face washed in the sick glow of a desk lamp. His voice was low and tired as he slid an old iron key across the counter. Room 212. Michael nodded, too tired to care about the man's hollow stare. The elevator rattled like an iron cage as it carried him upward. It groaned, jerked, then finally shuddered to a stop. The hallway beyond was narrow and dim, lined with faded wallpaper that peeled away in curling strips, exposing stained wood beneath. The air smelled faintly of smoke, though no one had smoked in this place for years. He walked slowly, counting the room numbers: 206, 208, 210. Finally, 212. He sighed in relief when his key slid smoothly into the lock, but something caught his eye. At the far end of the corridor, almost lost in shadow, was another door. The brass number plate on it read 213. Michael froze. He distinctly remembered the evacuation map by the elevator. The map had shown the hall ending at room 212. There had been no 213. His stomach tightened. Perhaps he had misread the map, or maybe the door led to a staff closet or an old storage room. Still, something about it felt wrong. The door was different. Its wood was darker, splintered at the edges, its brass handle black with tarnish. Yet the number plate looked almost new, its paint bright, as though someone had just brushed it on. Curiosity overcame fatigue. Michael walked toward it. The air grew colder with each step. The overhead light flickered once, then died, leaving only the dim glow of a single bulb far behind him. He stood before the door, heart thumping. His hand reached for the knob. It turned. The hinges groaned as the door opened inward. A wave of stale, icy air poured out, thick with the smell of damp earth, rot, and something metallic, like blood. Inside there was no room, only a hallway, narrow, endless. Stone walls stretched away into blackness, vanishing into shadow. Somewhere deep within he thought he heard water dripping. Michael hesitated, every instinct screaming to close the door. But his feet moved on their own. He stepped inside. The carpet vanished beneath his shoes. The wallpaper dissolved into raw brick. The dim hotel hallway was gone. This place was older, ancient. Cold sweat prickled his skin as he turned back, hoping to retreat. The door had vanished. Behind him was nothing but a wall of rough stone. His chest tightened with panic. He pulled out his phone. The screen lit up weakly, then flickered and went black. The battery was drained to nothing. That was when he heard it. Footsteps, slow, heavy, echoing in the dark ahead. Michael's throat went dry. "Hello?" His voice cracked barely above a whisper. The footsteps stopped. The silence was worse. His pulse pounded in his ears as he strained to listen. Then, after an eternity, a whisper slithered through the darkness. "You shouldn't be here." Every hair on his body stood on end. He stumbled backward, then broke into a run. His footsteps slapped against the stone floor, breath ragged as he sprinted into the black. But no matter how far he ran, the corridor stretched on endlessly. And now the whispers followed, multiplying, surrounding him from every direction. "Shouldn't be here. You don't belong. Leave." Their voices crawled into his skull. Finally, his legs gave way. He staggered into a vast chamber, lit by a single swinging bulb. The shadows danced across the room, revealing piles of abandoned hotel furniture. Chairs stacked like bones, splintered tables, dusty suitcases, broken mirrors leaning against the walls. Michael's breath rattled as his eyes adjusted. Then he saw it, painted across the far wall in thick, flaking strokes. Room 213 doesn't exist. The bulb flickered violently. The whispers rose to screams, overlapping into a deafening chorus. The walls shook as if dozens of fists were pounding from the other side. Michael dropped to his knees, covering his ears, his voice breaking into a raw scream. And then, silence. He gasped for breath, his body trembling. Slowly, he opened his eyes. Morning sunlight streamed through curtains. He was lying in bed. Room 212. Riverside Hotel. His chest heaved as he sat up, his skin slick with sweat. For a moment he thought it had been a nightmare. Then he noticed the key on the nightstand. It was no longer stamped with 212. It read 213.